Let's take Patrick, Las Vegas, on the Mark Levin app. How are you, sir?
Hey, Mark, thanks for taking my call. I really appreciate it. I love your show. I've been a fan a long time.
Thank you, sir.
And I want to thank you for everything that you do for our country. My question was, you said something about how once the Supreme Court makes their decision, it stands forever and ever. Well, how is it that Roosevelt...
No, I don't know that I said it stands... Well, it could stand forever and ever. Go ahead. I said on this same-sex marriage issue, it's perpetual, right. Yeah.
Well, what legal premise did Roosevelt use to essentially make the court reverse itself on some of its stance and such as minimum wage and et cetera?
This is an excellent question. What was happening to Roosevelt early on during his presidency was that the Supreme Court, its members, had been appointed by prior presidents, and the Supreme Court was rejecting Roosevelt's effort to federalize various aspects of private and individual economic decision-making. And in addition to the NIRA, it was striking down these statutes. Roosevelt threatened to pack the court. He threatened to increase the number of members of the court and proposed legislation to do this. From 9, I think it was, to 14, maybe 15. I think it was 14. And appoint the additional justices. And that got the attention of these justices. And most of them were very elderly. And as they passed away or resigned, he filled the court with with like-minded people, starting with Black, among others. But the point is this, as a side point. Even the Democrat Congress, his vice president being a former speaker, rejected his effort to pack the court, rejected the legislation. His vice president actually went public, but the court got the message.
Right.
So the court that had been basically striking down socialism in its various forms, striking down FDR's effort to control industries, control wages, control prices, control this, control that, began to reverse course pretty much, I think it was around 1937. And the way they did it, not exclusively, but largely, was through the Commerce Clause. The same way they attempted to do Obamacare, but John Roberts said, you know what, I don't want to go there. I'll use the tax provision of the Constitution, which is even more absurd. But anyway.
Right.
So they began changing the definition of commerce, of interstate commerce, with a couple of opinions, and essentially changed the Constitution, rewrote it, and that was the beginning of the end of centralized government control over the economy vis-a-vis, individual decision-making.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And I did have a follow-up if I have time.
Yeah.
What legal premise does the Supreme Court use when they go ahead and look back at previous decisions that they've made in the past and overturn those laws? And I appreciate it very much, and I'll take my answer off the air.
All right, my friend. Well, the Supreme Court does a lot of things. It says, well, the factual scenario in this case is different, or it just outright reverses course. It did that pretty much on abortion, and it's done it in other matters too. So however they dress it up, that's what they do. So it's not clear to me how they will do it in future cases, but they've done it every which way, frankly. I mean, it took them about 60 years to overturn Plessy with Brown versus Board of Education, although I don't agree with the way they did it. I thought they could have done it flat out under the 14th Amendment, but they got into all this psychological and sociological stuff. But that aside, they can say it's a different fact pattern, they can nibble away on one aspect of a prior case, or they can throw it out altogether, and they've done all that and more.